everyone, my name is Kayla Brown and I am a 5th grade teacher at Sara Harp Elementary, and today I am here to give you an overview over our data. The purpose of this presentation is to provide you an overview of Sara Harp data from the last 3 school years. I'm going to highlight some academic strengths, some of our weaknesses, and identify 2 areas in which academic improvement is needed the most. But before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about our awesome school. We opened in 2002 and are located in Fayetteville, Georgia. We are also a leader in me school, which means that we believe every child is a leader and has leadership qualities. We teach preschool through 5th grade and are the largest elementary school in the district. So with that, let's take a little bit deeper dive into our demographic data. So as I said, we are the largest elementary school. In 2019, we had our largest enrollment to date at 771 students. Lost a few in 2020, but gained one back in 2021 and are currently sitting at 760 students. So let's look at that demographic data just a little bit closer by looking at the gender. So if you'll notice, we're split pretty evenly between male and female. We have, over the last 3 years, had more males than females, but not a substantial amount, pretty even all 3 years. So now let's look at our race and ethnicity at Mentor. I want to draw your attention up here that we're still looking at these populations of 771 in 2019, 759 in 2020, and 760 in 2021. So when we're looking at these bar graphs, we're looking at 2019, 2020, and 2021. So you'll notice that we have about 5 to 8% of 2 or more races. That number has increased over the last 3 years. Our Hispanic community has also increased a few. Our Asian community has stayed pretty consistent over the last 3 years at about 4%, as well as our African American population has stayed the same at about 20%. We have also stayed the same with our white students, staying at 61, 60-ish% there. So overall, our race and ethnicity enrollment data has stayed pretty consistent over the last 3 years. So now let's look at our free and reduced lunch data. So in 2019, we were at 13%, dipped a little in 2020, and then had a 3% increase in 2021. I think this is a direct result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I also feel like it is important to note that starting in the school year of 2020-2021, all lunch and breakfast was free for every student. So I think that also contributes to the increase there. So now let's look at our education programs a little bit closer. So here we have our EIP students, our special education population, our gifted students, and then our ELL students. So we have some definite celebrations I want to highlight here. So if you'll notice in our EIP population, we started in 2019 with 100 students and have steadily decreased that number to now we're sitting at 71 students in our EIP program, which is really awesome. Our special education program has stayed pretty consistent over the last 3 years. Our gifted population has also increased, which is really great. So in 2019, we had 60 students who identified as gifted. Then we lost about 10 in 2020. I know for a fact we had a really large gifted population in 5th grade that year who went off to middle school. So that is to speak for that dip there. But then in 2021, jumped up to 88 kids who qualified for gifted. I also know that we changed our gifted testing around a little bit in 2021, so I believe that is also why we saw such a increase there. Our ELL population, we grew from 2019 to 2020 and then have stayed consistent over the last 2 years with that population. So now let's take a look at our awesome teachers. So we started in 2019 with a really large staff at 96 teachers, lost one in 2020 and are down to 87 in 2021. The reasoning behind this is because we lost special education funding. So we lost several of our support staff and special education teachers over the last 3 years. As you can see, we have a very large female population and only a few male. And then our ethnicity demographics match a lot of what we see with our students. We have 1 Asian teacher currently. We currently have 3 Hispanic, we have 74 white teachers, and currently 9 black teachers. So it is encouraging for me to see that our diversity is increasing. However, I still feel like there is significant room for improvement in that area. So now let's talk about our student achievement data. For this presentation, we are looking at the Georgia milestones for 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. And I want to talk about the dates real quick. So due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we do not have scores for 2020 due to the pandemic, and our current scores for 2022 are also still embargoed, and we have not been given permission to release those yet. So therefore, for this data, we are looking at years 2018, 2019, and 2021. So wanted to make everyone aware of that. Now we're going to look at the percentage to mastery. So mastery on the Georgia milestones is scoring a level 3 or a level 4. So a level 3 is showing that you are proficient. Scoring a level 4 means you are distinguished. So either one of those is going to show mastery. So our third grade team is doing an awesome job where in 2018 we had 64 of our students showing mastery, again at that level 3 or level 4. 2019 we jumped up to 67.5%, and then had a small dip in 2021 at 65%. But if you'll notice, we are still higher than the district and significantly higher than the state. Third grade continued to rock and roll in math, jumping up in 2019 at 71%, almost 72% of their students scored a level 3 or level 4 in the area of math, which I think is incredible. And again, still higher than the district, higher than the state, all 3 years. So now let's take a look at our fourth grade. Our fourth grade team has had a steady decline over the last 3 years, which is something to note. Despite the decline, they still, their proficiency rating was higher than the district and higher than the state. Unfortunately, however, when we look at math, not only have they had a steady decline in math, but they also in 2019 scored below the district average, and just barely above the district average in 2021. Still higher than the state, but comparing the fourth grade math scores to the district fourth grade math scores is a little concerning and something we should definitely look at more in detail. Now on to my grade level, fifth grade. I currently teach fifth grade ELA and math. So in 2019, we had an amazing year at almost 76% of our fifth graders were at a level 3 or level 4 on the milestones, still higher than the district and the state in that area. Our math kiddos, we did have a little bit of a dip in 2019 to 2021 in our math. I do believe this is because we lost our textbook adoption here, and so that had an impact there. Also, the COVID-19 pandemic. However, we were still higher than the district all 3 years and substantially higher than the state. In fifth grade, they also take the fifth grade milestone in science. And we do see a pretty dramatic dip here. And I think this is in direct relationship to the COVID-19 pandemic. Nobody was really doing science experiments when they were in quarantine. But again, still higher than the district and much higher than the state. So let's talk about this data. So in our school improvement plan, our goals are to increase in every content area by 2%. So in ELA, math, and writing, we are wanting to increase our proficiency levels by 2%. So some strengths that we've highlighted. All 3 years in all 3 grade levels, our schools' scores were higher than both the district and the state. Whoop, whoop. So that is really awesome. In our educational programs over the last 3 years, our EIP numbers have decreased and our gifted numbers have increased, which is incredible. And in 2019, not really sure what we all had going on then, but we were rock stars. That was our highest year to date of proficiency scores. And so I think we all need to go back and look at those 2019 lesson plans to see what we were doing, because we rocked it in all 3 grade levels. Some weaknesses. Our special education numbers are pretty stagnant. They're not increasing, but they're also not decreasing. So something to look at. Our 4th grade definitely needs some improvement, as they have had some steady decline in both content areas of ELA and math. And then our teacher diversity is the elephant in the room. We have a very small number of diverse teachers. The number is increasing, but there's still room for significant improvement, and it's something we cannot ignore. So some areas for improvement. Our 5th grade math, we need to increase the percentage of students scoring at the proficient achievement level. So if you'll remember, we were at like 50 or 60% there. We need to get that up. And we need to start looking at our level 4 proficiency in grade 3 and keeping a constant or increased percentage of those scores getting to the distinguished level. So what are our next steps? So I have some questions for you here. I'll let you just take a moment and read through those. What are some areas of improvement that you see? Based on the data, can you make any predictions about what our data will show this upcoming school year? And what piece of data from this presentation stands out to you the most, and why? All right, so to wrap it up, what are some action steps? Step one, we definitely need to meet with that fourth grade team to determine what's going on, maybe provide them some intervention strategies prior to the milestone so we can get those scores back up and not continue that steady decline. Step two, we need to consider incorporating a school improvement goal aimed toward more distinguished level. Our scores speak for themselves. We're doing really well, but a lot of those percentages are that level 3 proficiency level. So what can we do to take our kids from a level 3 to a level 4? And then finally, I think it would be important for our special education team to meet with each grade level during our weekly PLC meetings to develop strategies that would ensure curriculum alignment so that maybe we can get some of those kids tested out of special education just to see where that would go. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation.